All right, here we are. Hello, everyone. I'm being all hello, everyone. It's ridiculous. Okay, so Karen and I are here to share with you. We are the Harrises. My beautiful wife, Karen, of 23 years. I'm Wes, and we're just here to share with you our testimony. So I don't know where we would start. We've usually started. Well, we usually started with her, I think, first.
Did you even say your name?
I did.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So.
I'm already not paying attention. I'm sorry.
It's fine. All right. So it's going to be witty banter. And again, we're going to try and get through this with as little interruption as possible. But we have 7 children running around here right now. So
6 ones that can't.
Oh, yeah. Ones that can. On this count. So again, we may be interrupted at some point in time. Please bear with us. Karen, would you go ahead and start wherever you like? Because we're going to just go on and on.
So I'll start by saying that we are giving, we're doing this for a reason. So everybody has a story to tell. Ours is more colorful, I guess, than a lot of people's stories. The normal story is 2 people met, fell in love, and got married, and then had hard things happen, like most couples have, right? Because we live on this earth, and hard things happen to everybody. Our story is definitely one of the harder ones, and considering how many couples that we've talked to, our story has been a way to show that there is a God of the universe who loves us and who can walk with us and who can heal some of the worst brokenness that I've ever heard of, and I've heard a lot of stories. So the reason behind this is, Wes and I have other things we'd like to talk about in the future, and for when I hear from someone who wants to do any type of teaching, I always wonder, like, what's your background? Like, who are you? Where do you come from? If I'm going to hear some woman talk about being a wife or a mom, I'd really like to know what her husband thinks of her. I'd like to know what her kids think of her. I'd like to know, how do you live? So in order for us to be able to share in the future some ideas that we have, and some things that he and I have discussed, and some things that we, Wes and I both have done a lot of counseling, and we'd like to share some of the things that we've learned. In order to do that, you should probably know where we come from and to know how we ended up where we are right now. So this is the beginning of that, and it's probably going to take us a half an hour to tell this story. We don't care if you watch it at all, really, but if just to let you know ahead of time, it's not a short story because it's 26 years in the making, actually. But so my start at the beginning, I have two sets of parents. My parents, they're all wonderful, but my parents got divorced when I was young. I have one sister. Both of my parents remarried, wonderful people. I became a Christian when I was 11. There was a woman named Lois Dunkerton, who I've never actually gotten to talk to again as an adult, even though I've tried, who somehow we ended up at a Pioneer Club, which is like a Christian Girl Scouts. And she had this book, which I still have, and in the back was told me about Jesus, and I became a Christian. So right after that, my mom and my stepdad became Christians. My sister became a Christian. My grandmother became a Christian because of Jim and Tammy Baker, because she was watching those shows at that time. We also started going to church together at a church called Glenham Christian Fellowship. I had one of my favorite Sunday school teachers was named Kenny Lee, and he ended up becoming part of our family. And he would come to my granny's house every Sunday after church, and he ends up being very significant, which is why I'm bringing him up. And from the time I was 11 and heard about Jesus, talked to people about the Lord and evangelized. I started a Bible study at my school when I was in high school, which my principal said was illegal, but I had proof that I could actually start a Bible study, and fought to have one at my school. Was a part of a Christian band, and played down in Ocean City, Maryland, a couple times, and was walking with the Lord and loved Jesus, and had met a young man when I was, I don't know, like 15, and we were together for 4 years. I was engaged to him, was supposed to get married, and I was trying to find him a job because he didn't have one at the time, and went to this new Taco Bell at Lock Raven and Taylor, not knowing that it was going to very drastically change my life. And when I went in to find out about getting him a job, I got hired, and I was 16 and started working at Taco Bell. And there I met Wes.
Yeah, I don't have it broke down as eloquently as Karen. I'm from East Elmhurst, New York. Um, the youngest of 3 children. My parents divorced when I don't even know how old.
Nobody knows.
I don't, because I had such a full life, friends, family. We lived in a big house with all my family. I never really realized that he didn't even live there.
Oh gosh.
I'm gonna condense my story. I lived in East Elmhurst most of my life. When I graduated out of junior high school to go to high school, we moved to Lafayette City. That was an awakening. I learned all my hustle skills and dirt out there mainly. Grew to become a whore and a dealer and whatever. I moved to Baltimore to kill a man. I won't go into details because that's private. It's family members in regards to it. But I moved here to deal with somebody, and I wound up staying. In my time staying here, I tried to find employment. I worked through a temp agency. There was nothing solid. I didn't have a solid work history because all I did was run the streets in New York. So it was difficult to find employment. But a good friend of mine, God rest his soul, Floyd Gray, approached me one day in the neighborhood and asked me if I could teach him how to buy clothes and get jewelry. He would help me get a job. So he wound up getting me a job at Taco Bell. So I decided I'd take a job at Taco Bell. Nobody knew me. I didn't have any rep to uphold here. So I took the job at Taco Bell, and that's when I met a bunch of other people, but mainly Karen. So Karen and I became friends. We joked and laughed and had a lot of fun together, and we got cool.
And
argued because of our different understanding of life.
We argued.
And the way that we communicate, is really funny because I would say, Karen, what's up, girl? And she'd be like, how are you? And I'd be like, when I say what's up, you say how you? And she's like, no, I don't talk like that. I said, listen, if you're in Japan, you would learn Japanese, right? I said, it's just a different way of communicating. She embraced that. We got closer. And then she was engaged when I met her. And then she broke up with him for other reasons. I don't know if she wants to go into those details or whatever. And then she started seeing a friend of ours. And that didn't work out. And she decided that she wanted to make him jealous or something. And she started seeing me. And she got pregnant. Now, there's more to the details than that I'm sure she will share. But
which she doesn't mention the fact that when we first met, one of the first conversations that we had, and I don't know how, we must have been talking the fact that I was engaged. He said, well, the guy I was engaged to was in the service at boot camp and whatnot. And he said, well, long distance relationships don't work. You're never going to marry him. Yes, and I was really mad.
I love him. I've been with him for, yes. True. And for you, it was not because I thought I was going to get with her. I just honestly believe long distance relationships, unless the people are very mature and in love and godly, that it didn't work. And I didn't know her that well, but she had said, she got offended.
I was offended because, I was like 18 or something, and madly in love with this guy. And as a side note, we did later, he is a really, really good man. And there was nothing wrong with him. It wasn't him at all, because he's a really good guy. But anyway, that really burned me up. I thought it was ironic later on that after that conversation that I actually ended up marrying him, which I think is totally weird. But anyhow, he went away, and when he came home, I had never just been out in the world. I was at Towson University here in Maryland, and had never been out in the world before, had never seen any other guys or anything. I was talking to somebody else at work, and he came home, and he wasn't home but 2 seconds, and I said I couldn't marry him. So it was totally terrible. The whole thing was handled really badly. I did apologize later. Not necessarily that I didn't marry him, because I'm not sorry about that. Just that the whole thing went down really ugly. But I did start dating somebody else at work, and then he went to go into the service, and it really burned me up because I just waited for one guy, and I was really kind of sick of waiting for men. And so I broke up with him because I'm like, I'm not waiting for another guy. And he also is a really good guy. But anyhow, it's on point. I broke up with him, and it was just it was ugly, because we're 19. So of course it's ugly. And so I decided to date somebody else just to make him jealous. And Wes was the coolest guy at work. And of course, at 19, my circle was like this big. You know, I had been in high school and my circle was really tiny. And now all of a sudden, I'm going to Towson, but and then I ended up going to community college, but my circle was still really small. I just didn't know anybody. He was the coolest guy I knew. And the Jesus part of it was, and it's hard for me to understand myself now, even looking back, but when I broke up with the guy I was engaged to, I was really, really mad. Like, I had made up my mind that I wanted to get married. I wanted to have this life. And now all of a sudden I don't want to marry him. And this other guy he wasn't a Christian. And I ended up breaking up with him, and I was just mad because I wanted things and I wasn't getting what I wanted. And I told Jesus that I'll be back. I honestly did not believe that doing things God's way was for my best. Well, no, that's not true. I thought it probably was for my best, but I was positive that it wasn't going to be fun. I didn't know any Christian guys. Now, did I go to, youth groups and put myself out there to meet Christian guys? Absolutely not. No. I didn't know any Christian guys at all. And so, I don't know, I just made up my mind that I wasn't going to do things God's way anymore. And I knew the first time I asked, I broke up with the one guy, and Wes was at work, and I asked him if he needed a ride home. Now, I don't know why at 19, the fact that the 27-year-old man was working at Taco Bell, not as a manager, by the way, just working at Taco Bell, and didn't have a car, or at least a legal car here in Maryland, a legal car.
Correct.
The fact that didn't concern me at all, I don't have an explanation for that. I was 19. I didn't consider at all the fact that the men you hang out with, you'll end up sleeping with eventually, and that changes your whole life trajectory. I just was stupid. I just thought, well, just ask him if he wants a ride home. Well, I mean, he sprinkled like fairy dust over me or something.
Oh yeah, fairy dust. On my end,
Maybe it wasn't fairy dust.
on my end,
I don't know.
I come here. I'm trying to get a fresh start. I was with the ex-girlfriend, living with her for a couple of years, doing what I did in the streets. So I came down here because, again, I came to deal with somebody who assaulted my family member. I came to deal with that. And then they got used to me being here and wanted me to stay. I had some music affairs to finish in New York. I went and wrapped that up and came back. Took any job I could. My car, which I never had a license, because in New York you really don't need a license, and I wasn't
I'm
living.
pretty sure you do.
As far as I'm concerned, living within my means, I don't need a license. I never got pulled over or any issues. So when I decided to move here, my car, that's a whole nother can of worms, but my car got stripped from parts that I had stolen and stripped from other vehicles. It's a whole nother world. So I brought the car down here in pieces. So I didn't have a vehicle available. So I got the job, and I'm enjoying myself. Never really had a job. I'm meeting all these other people around Baltimore. I'm making connections now. And Karen was there. And I got to enjoy her, but I've never been around a white girls in that setting. And Karen is thick white girl, nice young boy. So, I looked at it and I had in questions, but the guy, my friend, God bless his soul, Floyd Gray, he put me on like, we can holler at her, but nobody here has had any success. Karen's one of those straight shooters. She don't mess around. She don't sleep around. She goes to church. She's a good girl. I was like, oh, she's off the list. How you doing? Laughy jokey, but I ain't cheap. I'm checking this one out. I'm checking that out. So again, our relationship grew. So as she had stated, one day I was sitting there telling the fellas a New York story, and we sitting there kicking it. And they give me this look, like, look behind you. I turn around and Karen's sitting there, and they're looking at me like, yo, we've known this girl for years. She don't give us no rhythm. What is she doing behind New York here? Turn around, what's up, Karen? And Karen's like, yeah, I'm going to give you a ride home. Because Karen's very direct. She doesn't bluff. She doesn't change who she is. She's got something to say. She says it. She doesn't play games. One of the reasons I love her dearly. She says, I'm going to drive you home. I live a few blocks that way, and we all walk that way. Now I'm going to drive you home. all right. I don't think nothing of it. At this point, I'm naive because I never dealt with girls like her. Plus, she's off the list. I'm not thinking about it. She's trying to be nice, sweet girl. Long story short, she's hanging out, spending time. I'm going to sleep in your bed. I'm like, I'm bugging. I ignore it for a little bit, but she's being a little aggressive, trying to go kind of. So I'm like, now the whore that I am, I'm trying to navigate my way through Baltimore. I'm trying to make connections. I thought I could stay straight for a while. I thought I would be a straight shooter, regular Joe, go to work, save my money, do that. But the overwhelming personality and things that I've learned over the years just started to boil through, and I'm starting to make connections. I'm starting to make weed connections, starting to meet dudes who's trying to meet chicks over on the north side of Baltimore, the west side, and I'm over here in Towson trying to make money. So Karen is, just being Karen, enjoying our time, trying to be close, trying to be. I don't know what's going on.
He was hot.
I don't know what's going on. So we start hanging out. Now it's starting to get late night, starting to hang out till 1, 2 in the morning, starting to get tight. The problem is, the guy that was with her that she tried to use me to make him jealous, got jealous. And he comes back like, I love you, I want to be with you. So Karen gives me this story. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I got this guy over here, the ex-fiance. I got this guy over here, the ex-boyfriend, and me, the pending boyfriend. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go be alone for a while and figure things out.
It was a long time. It was like a whole week.
By West. That day, the next day, I called her like, check this out. I'm not stupid. You got this guy, that guy. You're weighing your options, seeing what you want to do. I'm fine with that. And unfortunately, the truth being, I had been messing with this girl for quite some time, and I was trying to sleep with her to justify the time. Like, I don't put in that much effort without having sex with her. So I got something to take care of. You go figure out what you want. But I was arrogant, and I told her, I said, you're gonna go figure it out, but you're gonna come back to me. So I'll be here when you get back. And
I fell for that.
She fell for it.
I did.
She went back with the other guy for
like 2 seconds. A week.
From my recollection, I'm gonna say it's about a week.
Yeah.
She shows up at Taco Bell crying. I'm gonna be with you. Whoa. And this is an unfortunate circumstance, and I'm not proud of it. But I was thinking, we don't do the rebound thing. You just broke up with that guy. And secondly, I still haven't slept with this girl yet. Give me a minute here. So I said we would not be together for a little bit. Let her get over this guy, and so I could sleep with this girl. And,
you never told me that part of the story.
That's the whole point. I'm not really. There was no reason to tell you that. Why would I say that?
Because we've told the story like literally
Okay,
500 times.
Not to this detail where we're not constricted by time. So
are there other things I need to know in the story?
You didn't need to know that. What was their need to know?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
It's the show to the depravity. It's not coming up in conversations or time limited where we're at a church giving our testimony.
Or a dinner where we tell the story.
Yeah,
like
all these
10
details
minutes.
are not coming up. So unfortunately, I wanted to sleep with this girl. And
did you?
Yes.
Of course you did. I mean, it's the fairy dust.
So Karen comes back, and she's like, I want to be with you. And at the time, man, I thought
it was just because you were hot.
And at the time, I thought I wanted to be with her. But I was just being a whore, and I wanted to sleep with a white girl. I never slept with a white girl. Karen was exceptionally. She's built nice for a white woman at my time. Back in my time, do y'all remember? I'm 8 years older than she is. When I was growing up, until a certain point in time, white girls were always trying to diet, always trying to be that skinny model, that skinny. Karen was not one of them, and as a different generation starting to bloom there, where white girls were getting thick. So Karen was right on the radar. A lot of dudes at the job, most of the black dudes was trying to get with Karen, trying to go. Karen gave them no rhythm, no nothing.
I was friendly.
You were very friendly. You've always been very kind and sweet. Flirty, but you're not flirty. She's very modest. She doesn't play games. So when I got in and she's like going home, and dudes is like, what? And I'm like, hey, baby, hey. Huh? So
LL Cool J. Ew, gross.
LL, lick my lips. Cool J. So anyway, we wound up getting together. I don't know if there's too many more details we need to share, but Karen got pregnant. Karen, I think our first time we were together, I think possibly.
Okay, so irony, okay, because I like irony. It's funny. I don't know what I thought, and I have a health education degree from Towson. So I just want to preface by
Yeah, but that was before the
it doesn't matter. I took health class and I aced it because I always got good grades. But that's not the point. I don't know what I thought, but you don't get pregnant because of like consecutive. Like it's not like you have to have so many times in. Like you literally once is actually enough. I don't know why that didn't occur to me.
No, she got pregnant.
So we started dating ish or something, and I'm pretty sure it was like 3 weeks later, I'm pregnant, and I'm not even sure I knew his middle name at this point. Now, again, I don't have any explanation. I don't really have any good solid explanation for how you can go from let's start Bible studies, never been drunk, like was with the guy I was with for all those years, never slept. I can't explain how you go from there to, oh, let me meet this guy who is clearly not on a good path, whether you're a Christian or not. Like clearly wasn't a Christian, but then he wasn't even like a normal dude. Like you're 27, you work at Taco Bell. No disrespect, but like in my mind, I was going to marry suit tie. What? First off, he was going to be white, just because I didn't even know you could date black guys. Really, I didn't know it was an option. Like in my mind, I thought of black men the way that you would think of the way I would think of a woman. Like, yeah, she's attractive. I don't want to sleep with her. That's how black guys were. The black men that I knew at school had their own universe, and I wasn't allowed in there. Like, it wasn't even a thought. So, but there's a part of me that always likes to buck whatever everybody's doing. So if all my friends were getting drunk, I don't drink. If everybody's smoking, I'm not smoking. I'm not doing it. Whatever everybody else is doing, I don't want to do it. It's all just pride, by the way. It doesn't make you special. Being a rebel doesn't make you special. But I didn't even think about, I don't know. I never even thought about it. And then, I don't know, I kissed him once. Do you remember the first kiss?
No.
Anyway, I do. And I just...
So what? I remember the song we danced to at our wedding. Okay, so let's keep...
True, because I didn't remember. I didn't remember the first movie. I don't remember anything.
I do that.
I do remember the first kiss, but it was only significant because I was done. Like, I don't know. Like, I think part of it may have been, I read a lot of books when I was younger. And I had read and watched movies and all, and it was always like the bad man, and then he falls in love with this woman, and the love of a woman redeemed him and changed him, and blah, blah, blah. And that narrative is in my head, that he may be the bad guy, but I'm going to be enough, the love for me or something. This is some kind of weird savior complex. It's wicked and wrong, and it was arrogance to think that you're so special that you're the one who's going to change somebody. And I'm telling you, at 19, I absolutely would think that about myself. Like, you're just that great. I had always thought I was great, and I was 19, and I knew I looked good when I was 19. I was pretty and smart, and everybody liked me, blah, 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 all the other crap that happens. And so then you think somehow that you're enough. Forget about Jesus. Like, I didn't know who he was and hadn't studied my Bible for almost 10 years. Now, all of a sudden, Wes doesn't need a savior. He needs Karen Doyle. I don't think so. But I didn't know that. And he was a really good kisser. And then, so now all of a sudden, I'm pregnant.
She's pregnant.
So you can imagine.
Now, wait a minute. Now, I haven't been here long either. Okay, now I've been in Maryland for a year, but I haven't been with her. We don't know each other. Not like that. We're attracted to each other. I'm hot. She's hot. I'm a whore. She's not. Score for me.
I mean, except now. Now I am.
So
that was whorish behavior.
So we now we have a kid on the way. Never met our parents. Now this is the fat rope chain time. Jules, so again, she doesn't realize, and I'm not sharing, but a lot of Jules. Well, I'm working at Taco Bell because I've done things previous to this. I only live with my sister because I haven't got my wings here. I had a home. I had an apartment full of furniture and everything in New York. I left it behind with chick because I'm starting over. I can start over. I leave. I'm a leaver. I'll walk away and leave everything. I'm a quitter. I've abandoned other children, which you'll learn about in this story. But I'm a dude to walk away. So I walked away from that life in New York, and I'm rebuilding here. So now I have to meet her parents. Now Karen, you understand West New York, Queens, thuggery, whatever. Karen is
Thuggery. Did you make that up?
no, that's a slang terminology.
Okay.
Karen is white. She's white. She's not wigger. She's not from the hood. She never rode a city bus. She's nothing. You rode it when you were an adult. You went to go get a class. I did
once.
As an adult.
Oh, okay.
After she had like 3-4 kids. She's white. White privilege, doesn't know about black people, the struggle, nothing. White.
All true.
So I meet her parents, or the white parents, and they meet me. Earring in the nose, both earrings, fat rope chain. You hear me? Fat.
Oh my gosh.
You hear me? Fat rope chain on my neck. Okay.
It wasn't that.
It wasn't this big.
And it was real gold, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not.
So
I think that's aluminum foil. I'm sorry.
So I go and meet her parents, and I'm sure now, to their testimony, they've always treated me wonderfully.
Yes,
they've always loved me. They've always made me a part, even when I was doing my dirt. They've always had my back.
Yep.
So when they met me, I'm sure, I can't tell, they's like, oh, we loved you. I'm sure they were like, I know they had to think, Karen, you were leading Bible study. You helped lead us to Christ. You've been going to
But they may not have at that point because they didn't know you. But they don't care about the way people look. Because you could look like that. They knew I worked at Taco Bell. I was 27. I didn't have Jesus, and their daughter was pregnant by me, and we're not married nor engaged. Okay.
What happened? What?
Who knows?
Dad's hair is white now. I met him. He was brown hair. So anyway,
I'm great too.
She's pregnant, and I'm thinking, I barely even know this chick. But again, that's not my first rodeo. I'm a whore. So, but you're pregnant. So I asked her, so I guess we got to get married. No, I don't want to marry you just because I'm pregnant. Oh, okay. So we continue on. We continue on.
I don't want to marry.
She don't want to marry me.
I don't want to marry gold rope chain.
So we're out. So we're trying to make it work. And then she realizes she doesn't want to be with me. No, we weren't even at that point yet. You jumped past that.
Sorry.
So we're doing okay, but you realize that you want to give your life back to Christ.
That's after Wesley was born.
Yes.
He was a year and a half.
Right. We went through having him, and you went living your life because you still lived at home, and I still lived over at my mom's, and I was watching Wes while you were going to school, and I was still working, and we was okay.
That's because he kept getting caught lying about everything.
When? Was that before?
Because before we had, over the summer we broke up when he was like 1. Remember we broke up and I went out with some guy at Towson.
Why did we break up?
Because you were living with a girl. Don't say her name.
I wasn't living with her. I was staying. Okay, I remember that.
Okay.
Yes. Right. Okay, so, I'm not going to defend myself. Still a whore. Still running around. The ex-girlfriend came, and she's going to tell the kid shut up.
I don't say shut up.
Oh, you're right. So the ex-girlfriend came, so I was juggling again. I'm getting back to juggling. I'm getting around with girls. So I'm doing dirt. And I got caught. I never forgot about that. So I got caught, and Karen broke up with me. Oh, we were just fighting, right?
No, I broke up with you over the
so we
summer.
broke up. And she was seeing other people.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. We got back together again, or we were just fooling around? I don't know. Because I remember you saying you couldn't see me anymore, right?
No, you're right. But that was after we had broken up.
And I was already cheating. I was already seeing another woman who had my kid. She didn't have my kid yet, but I was already sleeping around. So when Karen came and told me she wasn't going to be with me anymore, it was again justification to sleep with her some more, and I wind up getting her pregnant.
So you have to picture, I now have a baby by some guy, and it's really hard to wrap your brain around. And then find out that he is lying incessantly and sleeping at his ex-girlfriend's place who he used to live with in New York. Now, I don't have a mental category for this life now. Like, there is literally nothing.
There's no baggage.
I cannot, my brain is, I'm literally in a constant state of disbelief because I don't actually believe this is possible. I still now, if I ask someone a question and they respond to me, I don't think that they could be lying. I just don't function like that. So I can't fathom in my mind that there's two different Wes's. My brain can't, I mean, even now I have a hard time marrying those two people. You have one who is very earnest in your face and really, in one sense, he clearly liked me while he completely he lied, had a total other life and lied nonstop. And when I catch him, my brain would say, I have to be the one wrong. This can't actually be true because no one can be that bad. Nobody can actually be that evil. So part of the problem is I don't think I knew enough about the doctrine of sin. I didn't know enough about absolute depravity and total depravity. Like these concepts were things, and if you don't know what they mean, you can go look them up. But I did not really understand enough about human nature because I really did live in a yippee skippy bubble. Now there was a lot of hard things in my childhood, which aren't worth bringing up because it would involve other people. But in general, I just was a really, really happy person, like honestly happy. Just, I don't know, happy. So the situation with him was far beyond my understanding. Like I was totally unprepared. And so we had broken up and I went out with this guy and we went to Burger King and he didn't have enough money to pay for Burger King and I had to pay for him. Okay, I'm like, yeah, that's the last time. Like I don't roll like that. I'm more traditional values type in some senses. And he got in the ball pit to play with Wesley, who was about a year old. And the fact that another man besides his father was playing with him, I all of a sudden had this picture of like stepdad with Wesley, and I couldn't do it. Like I can't have another man raising that boy. He needs to be raised by his father. Like I cannot do this.
So then what happened? Did you come back to me?
Yeah, and then I got pregnant.
But
so this is in the fall. Because I was at Towson, went out with that guy, ended up back messing around with you. I don't know if we said it was official. I don't
think it was official. I think we just fooling around
so
because
then,
we still thought each other were hot.
Because we still thought each other were hot.
And I'm a whore, okay, so I'll sleep with her at any chance I get.
And I would, yeah, so
we wound up getting pregnant. Now, the weird thing was, we were having these difficulties, and then we fooled around. So Karen, I don't know what sparked it. But she was like, you know what, I'm giving my life back to Christ.
Because I went away.
For New Year's.
Christmas, I went away.
And left me with Wes.
I actually plugged into some Christian organization at Towson. I went away for a week on a retreat.
Was it a week? It was only, it might have been
It was almost, it probably wasn't 7 days, but left the baby with Wes.
Because I always take my kid.
He would. He was a great dad.
Not my other kids. I only had one I knew of, another one was, we didn't know about that. Well, she didn't know about that one, but regardless, I would always take Wesley. I wanted Wesley because I wanted to experiment trying to raise him. So I would always take Wesley. Go ahead.
So weird. But anyway, so I came home New Year, like on a Sunday, and said, I'm recommitting my life to Christ. Like, I'm not going to be with you anymore. I'm not living like this. I'm going to walk with Jesus. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. Well, that was on Sunday, like Tuesday, I think. I went to the doctor's and I was pregnant again. Well, I had told him if I get pregnant again, we have to get married.
So we just broke up. 2 days later,
I come out of the doctor's office with a positive pregnancy test. He's sitting in the waiting room with Wesley, and I say, we have to get married because I'm pregnant.
So my question first off the break, So we couldn't get married when you were pregnant, Wes. Well, we gotta get pregnant. We
2 kids is embarrassing. It's the same guy.
So that's when things
A disaster.
got worse.
We got married 6 weeks later on Valentine. Well,
We were gonna run away and get married because we didn't want everybody to know that she was pregnant by me, this bad man.
that they all knew was cheating because they knew about all the.
I got
fights and all
caught.
that.
So we're gonna run away and get married. Well, the problem was her wedding was already paid for, booked, done. So when she tells
I even had the dress.
everything, so when she tells
Except the ring. I gave the
parent-
rings back.
she gave the rings back. I'd have kept them and sold. I'm a piece of trash. So we
You were
tell her
really
parents we're gonna go run and get married. Her parents are like, we already paid for everything. What are you running to? Miles ago. So we had this big wedding. And I have no idea what marriage is about.
It wouldn't have mattered if you did.
I don't think I had any intent of doing what a marriage is called for. It just sounded good. Wifey, my wife. I'm married. I'm gonna be honest with you, it sounded good. So we got married on Valentine's Day.
Which was a Wednesday. We got married on Wednesday. I kid you not. The big wedding, the whole thing, on a Wednesday.
Some of my family members was like, I'm not gonna say any names because we're past all that garbage now, but we're not coming because again they knew who I was, so they're like, that dude ain't really married.
And he's married on a Wednesday. Clearly it was going to be a hot mess.
People got to work. So again,
Mhm.
good portion of both of our families came. Best wishes. We didn't have any money to go on a honeymoon. We went to a hotel where I watched Seven and she slept because she was pregnant.
I was so tired.
We'd already had sex all before we even got married. So it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna have sex on our
Oh no, we
honeymoon.
totally ruined all
Who
that.
cares? We came home and it just got worse. We went separately to different places because I had no money. I wasn't hustling. I wasn't robbing and stealing. So
He
make
went
it
to
a
his
Taco
mother's
Bell.
house
So I
and
went
I
to my
went home.
mother's when she went home,
But we were married.
and we wound up
My
shopping
mother
around.
kicked us out.
Her and mine. My mother gave us money. Like, here, go.
His mother kicked him out. My
Go.
mother said, "You're married. You can't live here."
And
Like,
my
you need
mother's
to-
like, you can't live here. Here's money. Get you an apartment. So there's certain areas about Karen and I that were smart. When we
Really?
went looking for an apartment, we couldn't find one in an apartment complex, so we started looking at private homes and people who own homes that were renting out apartments.
My mother found that place.
And instead of me going with her for the apartment, I just sent her and my son. So here's Karen, white. She gets us an apartment with no first month, no last, no security check, no nothing. I'm like,
$450 a month.
$450 a month.
For
So
3 years we lived there.
So we started out with our little 2-bedroom apartment, and it for a man with any knowledge of who he's called to be, and a relationship with that woman there would have been a great start. It would have been a wonderful start. But I was not that man. I had no knowledge of what I should be doing as a man, how I should be conducting myself in a marriage, how I should be raising children. So, needless to say, it was a quick and sudden disaster. Our relationship just continued to decline as I would refuse to keep working, refuse to come home, refuse to explain my absence, my whereabouts, finances. It was just really bad. And then on top of that, she gets pregnant again. Like I said that, she gets pregnant again.
All by myself, actually.
Oh, I was there, right? Oh, yeah. So here we are on our 3rd child, and our relationship is trash. I started cheating shortly after we got back from the wedding. I started seeing this girl because I'm a whore. And because in my mind, you're supposed to keep more than one woman. Please, I won't even get started on the level of my depravity. Started cheating when we got back and continued on. And here we are on our 3rd kid. We're fighting. It got bad. One night, I went out with my man, and the night didn't turn out. We went out to Fells Point, trying to get some booty. It didn't work out. I came home really late. I got pepper sprayed. Got into some beef with some dudes, and they pepper sprayed me. But when I came home that next morning, Karen is on me. Where were you? What did you do? Da-da. And I kept warning, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I was so irritated. My face was still burning, and she was badgering me about, you need to get to work, you need to this, you need badgering me to the point where I kirked out. She tried to get away from me running upstairs. The 3 little boys were in bed.
In the tub.
I'm in the tub. Cornered her. Now, I've never put my hands on Karen, never called her a bitch or nothing like that. This morning, I got her cornered in the room, and she wouldn't leave me alone previously, so now she was going to feel the bulk of my wrath. Now, again, I didn't hit her, but I ripped her nightgown and I had her in the corner yelling at her, screaming at her. When I turned around, the police were up in my room behind me. And I was in a bad mentality then. I turned around like, what the y'all doing in here? You come down and they're like, dude, you need to calm down. I got arrested. Before they could arrest me, I pulled my way into the bathroom like, your mother called the cop. The cops are taking me out of here. In front of the kids. They took me out.
He ripped the house up. You ripped the kid.
I broke the banisters, didn't I?
You broke the banister. You ripped the crib off the base of it.
Did I?
Yes, you did. He literally lost his mind.
So I got arrested. I got locked up.
I actually thought I was gonna die that day. Like, I knew in your mind you only because, and now you didn't actually hit me or anything, but in your male mind, that sounds great. I mean, it could have been worse. I'm not saying it couldn't have been worse. I still have a scar from it.
Scar? No scar.
Yes, I do.
Scar from what?
When you grabbed my shirt and ripped it off.
So anyway.
Did you?
So anyway, there's no scar. What scar? Scratch? I didn't hit you. So what scar? So anyway.
I never.
You mean the scar inside?
No, I'm just saying. Full disclosure, I never told you that, but I do. I'll show you later.
So I wound up getting locked up, and my niece bails me out, and I come home. Karen's not coming back there. So I got my stuff and I left. I went and stayed somewhere else. And we decided, of course, Karen is a peacemaker. She decided, let's reconcile. Let's do the right thing as parents. So again, I pretend to come on home and pretend that we're going to do the right thing. Still don't. And we just continue to go downhill. Just continue to lie and cheat. Karen's praying over me. She's raising the kids. She's doing what she's got to do as a parent, trying to keep me working so we can keep the bills on. And I'm like, yo, I stole some stuff. I can sell that stuff and make money, give you money. She's like, no, don't take dirty money. You better get a job, or you're not going to be able to feed your kids.
He had food stamps anyway.
So we struggled, and then it just kept getting worse.
So this is 4.5 years you were married.
Me still cheating, disappearing, not coming home at night, sneaking out.
Check on the kids.
Yeah, check on the kids. So I'm not doing the right things. I'm not trying to do the right things. So now she's still believing the best. She, we're talking about having another kid, and I'm living a lie, so I don't care. Sure, let's have this kid. Let's have a girl. Since we got the 3 boys, let's have a girl. So we have Cheyenne. It never got any better. I only got worse. Got worse coming home less. And then it all fell apart. I got caught cheating by somebody saw my van parked where it shouldn't be and called Karen, like, why is your van always parked there? Karen's parents.
Somebody saw you, or not. Kelly Shive saw you on Lockering Boulevard.
No, that's something different, because Tim approached me about that. My car was parked, my van would be parked on somebody's block that knew Karen. Was like, why is your van always parked there? So Karen was like, where? I don't want to go. So Karen's parents and her sister show up at the girlfriend's house, and that's when there was a big confrontation, a blowout.
There was a Jerry Springer moment in Parkdale in the front yard.
So that was it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Got my stuff. Karen was like, you got to go. We're not doing this. So I left. And then right after that, because the restrictions were completely off, I just went off the deep end, not working out. I'm just doing robberies. I'm just trying to hustle. And I got popped. And I got arrested. And I wound up getting sentenced to 6 years. Now, there's still more details that we're leaving out. I was, when Karen told me she was pregnant with Wes, I don't know how much I should be divulging of that. There was a woman in the picture, my child's mother from Germany, and shortly after, Karen said she was pregnant. She said she was pregnant. And could I marry her to keep her here? I wasn't ready to do that. If anybody I was going to marry is going to marry Karen. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess, the Lord had planted that seed in me for what was to come. But there was nobody ever I was considering to marry like that other than Karen. So I told her no. She went back to Germany, and cold-hearted and as deprived as I am, I closed that book. Like, she's gone, I'm done. And I never talked to her again. So she went back to Germany. Karen got pregnant. We got married. We had kids. So our fourth kid, Karen and I were in such a bad spot. I got caught cheating. I went out there, started robbing, stealing, got jammed up, and I wound up catching 6 years. So I'm gone now. And Karen's alone. Wow. 4 kids. Let's stop there for a minute.